Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Tips in 10, where we give you the top tips in the least amount of time. This series was built to help you stay in the know without taking a chunk out of your schedule. Let's welcome today's guest, Steve Vorrius, who is president of the Victory Executive Group and an executive business consultant who leverages his marketing expertise with an entrepreneurial passion to assist clients with their strategic growth and development of their businesses, brands, and people to meet and exceed revenue targets and create sustainable profitability. I know this to be true because Steve has been my business coach for over 12 years and has been instrumental to our success. So, Steve, welcome to Tips in 10. It's great to have you. Let's do this.
You got it, Mike. Good to see you. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks, brother. Thank you so much. So let's kick this off. What are the costs associated with hiring and onboarding the wrong person?
Extremely high. Extremely high. I did a little bit of research for you, and the U.S. Department of Labor, they've kind of quoted an average cost of a bad hire is about 30% of that employee's first year earnings. So, for example, if you hire somebody for $80,000 a year in salary, you're gonna expense about $24,000 in a bad hire. Also, Forbes had a study where they interviewed CFOs. 34% of those people said not only does it cost us on the salary side of a bad hire, but 17% of our supervisors' time is spent with that bad hire. So the costs just continue to add up. And more importantly, there's something that a lot of people don't think about is a bad hire kind of goes into that category of the actively disengaged employee. And that costs businesses anywhere from $450 to $500 billion in lost productivity every year. Every business has a disengaged employee sitting in it. So the cost of a bad hire is extreme. And I think, if you think about it, and I work with lots of different businesses, and I try to coach my business leaders to understand that your people are your greatest asset. And if it's done correctly, right, you can really maximize and leverage that asset. But if you fail to be intentional in your recruiting, in your hiring process, in your onboarding process, it quickly becomes your greatest liability.
Well, speaking of intentional, because I love that word, you always, just drove that into us about always being intentional with everything that we do. How can a company become more intentional in hiring the right person and actually for the right position too, right? Because that's got to be important.
Being intentional about your process is probably the number one thing that a business should look at, especially going into 2023. Sit back, and when you look at revenue targets that you're trying to have, well, what's the manpower that's going to match you being able to earn that revenue? I look at recruiting, hiring, onboarding. It's like a dating process, okay? You just can't rush it. And I'll leave it there, okay? But you're dating the person. But in all seriousness, you have to develop a relationship with the potential candidate through developing some different events in your process that allow you to test and measure whether or not they are the right person for your business.
So what is it like events? Like what does that look like, and what are some of the things that they can do?
Good question. So mapping out your hiring process and knowing what you're going to do at every step is really important. And more importantly, establishing that timeline of when do you want somebody sitting, having a butt in that seat? When are you going to have somebody sitting there, and then work backwards? And then establish your phone screen, your first interview, whether you're going to include assessments in the process, a second interview, a final interview, depending on the role, obviously, and the responsibility, that's going to vary a little bit. But having that set up ahead of time, pre-thinking that is really, really important. Remember, you're hiring the person, not the position. And that's where most people kind of get that messed up. Most business owners are like, I need to hire somebody yesterday. And then they finally get somebody because they rush it through. They ask very superficial questions. They don't dig in. And then 6 months down the road, they find out we got the wrong person. And then they wonder why. So making sure that you have all the tools and the resources around you to make sure that you've got a holistic view of the person that you're going to bring into a business. It's like a puzzle, right? The framework is there with your existing team members. And now you're trying to bring an extra piece that's outside the puzzle and place it in. You want to make sure that it actually fits. My little saying that I coach to all the time is hire slow, fire fast. Hire slow, fire fast. Because that disengaged person needs to go.
That's good. Now, you said a word that I think is important. You said assessment. What would be the point of an assessment, or what kind of assessments are out there?
There's lots of different assessments that people can get a hold of. I like Profile Suite, the PXT, and their Step 1 survey. These are things that measure the person's integrity, their reliability, their work ethic. If they move into the second phase of an interview, more serious with that person, you'll dig deeper with an assessment that measures their thinking style, their behavioral style, their interest level, and it's matched up against the national database and customized to the position in your company. For example, an administrative assistant, you may have particular attributes that you want noted, and then I would marry that with the national database of millions of people that are in there on the profile of an admin assistant. And then you bring that together and you get the perfect attributes for that ideal candidate.
Yeah, that's good, because that helps you be much more objective than just subjective, because as we know, in an interview process, very much like dating, like you said, they're putting their best foot forward. And how do we kind of say, hey, look, this is who they are on the surface. We want to look under the hood. That kind of shows, who they are. This way we could say, hey, you know what, 6 months, 12 months from now, we're going to know exactly who you are. And this is exactly. We can make that decision.
And also, Mike, that assessment is going to give you a good picture of who they are. I say all the time, interviewing is like a liar's dance. Okay, the business owner is telling them how great their company is, and the candidate is telling them how great they are. And it usually stays at that level. By having some different tools and assessments that give you other information, it allows you to peel back the onion and get beyond that superficial point and really understand what makes this person tick. Are they the right person for the role that you're bringing them in for?
That's good. That's good. So let's just talk about like the ideal, hire. What does that look like for a company?
Yeah, the ideal team player. I'll give a pitch for Patrick Lencioni, one of the few people that I really admire out there. He's written numerous books out there, but his book, The Ideal Team Player, if you don't have it, go buy it. It really gives you a nice outline and some really strong interviewing questions to get to the point of the ideal team player. And his whole premise is, you need to hire somebody that's hungry, humble, and smart. Hungry, humble, and smart. And there's different variations of that person for an ideal team player. And I always ask my clients to really dig in and say, what does that mean to your business, right? He's got a nice little parable in there that talks about the jackass. That's usually the person that you don't want in your business, right? But you want a team of high performers, especially if you're trying to develop a performance-based culture in your business. You want that ideal team player, somebody that's hungry, somebody that's humble, and somebody that's smart. And, when I ask people, what do they think is the most important one? I usually hear, well, I need somebody that's smart, that's got good emotional intelligence, or I need somebody that's hungry. And I will tell you that the most important of those three attributes is a person that's humble.
Mm.
They're going to show up every day. They're going to give you everything they got. And you know what? They're not afraid to make a mistake.
Mm. That's good. That's really good. Steve, thank you so much for sharing some of your wisdom. Listen, we got to have some fun in this too, right? So we got to do a little
Yeah.
speed round questions and
Oh,
finish this thing with a bang.
you
What
got it.
what vacation destination is at the top of your bucket list?
Right now, it's Marco Island. Marco Island right now. We were there a few weeks ago for just a couple days before that storm hit Florida and we had to leave. So right now, that's where I'm trying to get back to. A little bit of white sand.
That's awesome.
Sun
That's
and fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, this is going to be a good one. What is your favorite karaoke song?
Ooh. You got me stumped there. I usually run, but I would say Love Shack.
Okay, that's good. That's good. You can't go wrong. Listen, anything in the 80s is going to be a great karaoke
Now
song.
that brings me back to my youth, you know.
All right, last one before we finish up. M&M or Reese's Pieces?
M&Ms.
Oh, man, come
Yeah,
on. How about
M&Ms.
the peanut butter?
No. I'll eat the peanut butter cup, but I won't eat the Reese's Pieces.
Awesome. So how can our people get in touch with you, Steve?
Hey, always reach out to me at steve@victoryexecutivegroup.com. You can visit my website, victoryexecutivegroup.com. You can see all the different things that I do from the executive side, from the business side. Really excited. This year I launched a Coach the Coaches program where I'm actually recruiting other business coaches to come on board with utilization of my software to help other business owners grow their businesses. I need people out there that have a passion for helping other people.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So get on that, people. I can tell you right now, Steve is amazing. Great coach, huge heart, and tons and tons of wisdom. So, Steve, thank you so much for joining us today on Tips in 10. It was great having you.
Mike, it was fun, and I really appreciate you.
Awesome, brother. Take care.
See you soon.